Do you find yourself yearning for a deeper, more purposeful existence? Get ready to embark on a transformative journey, diving deep into the realms of personal development, friendships, romance, and abundance. Get ready for Finding the Fire, Igniting Soul Connection, as we lead the way to embrace the fire within.
Hello. So today I'm getting ready to come do this podcast, and my daughter, my adult age daughter, is following me around like a puppy dog everywhere I go, and she's like, "Mom, I just want to be around you. Your energy feels exciting right now." I'm like, "Cause I am excited. Like everything is exciting. If I'm doing the dishes, it's exciting right now. It's just like, and I've been feeling this energy for a while now. Like at least I don't know. Like, but it's consistent. It's not like this roller coaster, which I have experienced the roller coaster of excitement. We all have, right? I'm like, how do you tap into that and stay in that instead of like, oh, this is fun for a minute, and now, oh crap, now I got to go home and do the laundry and all the tasks that we put on ourselves. And I think we're cracking the code, Holly.
Yes,
what do you think?
I do. I think so.
Like literally every minute, I'm like a kid on Christmas, like 1,000-fold, and then I'm like, no, wait. I'm like a mom on Christmas when you have the ultimate gift for your kid or somebody, and you're just so excited for them to open it. I have that energy too, and it's just like all of it magnified times 1,000.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So exciting.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We've been working on some really, really fun stuff together, and also just like tapping into that energy for ourselves. Just
realizing sometimes it doesn't have to be so hard. We've learned sometimes the hard way how to do things, and like where it takes so much time.
Yeah, what are all those messages we always hear? Oh, you got to work hard to earn money, or life's just hard, or
or it has to take so long to do.
Yeah, and it's like it's not true. Like all that programming, all those stories are just honestly not true. And if we could understand that and just like, oh, I can actually accomplish something like the snap of a finger if I really want to. Like we were talking about this the other day, right? How you can just think something and then it comes into existence. And for an example, the other morning, I was really craving like a smoothie bowl and a coffee. And I don't do that often, but this one morning I really was. And I'm like, oh, do I want to go do that? Because it would take this long to drive. And, and I'm doing something else that I'm excited about. And then a friend called, and she was like, hey, I want to come over and see you. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That would be awesome. And then right as she was about to hang up the phone, I'm thinking, oh, if I still want the latte and the smoothie, I'm going to have to run and go grab it before she gets here, right? And so I was thinking that for a split second, and she's like, hey, do you want something on my way over? I'm like, I don't know. Like what? What are you thinking? She's like, how about Gaia's Garden? And I'm like, literally Gaia's Garden was what was on my mind. And she was like, just tapped right into it. And I'm like, yes, I love it. And I've just had more and more experiences like that, and even you and I,
daily,
multiple times a day, right?
It's just like you think of this person, and then they come right in.
Yeah. How often do you like think of somebody and then they text you and they're like, "Oh, I was just thinking about you," or vice versa, or like the phone rings and you know who it is before picking it up, right? It's like you're just tapped into that wavelength, and I heard this recently, and I hope I can get the message properly, but everything is energy. Right? Like it just is. That's science, that's spirituality. Like everybody can agree that everything is energy. Even like this table has atoms in it, which is made of energy, down to the very, very core of anything. And so this person was explaining it. It's like, like we have a radio station that can tune into a certain frequency. Like you don't hear the waves in the air, right? But if you have a radio and you dial in, it will play that frequency and that music or whoever's talking or whatever. And same with like a cell phone. You send a text, right? Like you don't see the text go through the air to the other person's phone, but it does, right? And so they're explaining like we're a vessel also, right? And we can tune in too. So we even had an experience recently where I was thinking something, and I'm like, I didn't say it out loud. And then you answered it, not even knowing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally was going to ask you that question. And then you just answered it without me even saying it out loud. And the more and more you tune into that, the more you're on that frequency, the more it just happens like that. Like,
right. Like all energy vibrates at a different frequency.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And depending on where you're dialed in is where you're going to where you're going to vibrate. And like this last week or so, I've just been vibrating at this high, excited energy level, right? And like people around me can feel that. And I saw a friend that I hadn't seen in a while. She's like, your energy is different. Like, I am feeling you. Like, I want to be around you, you know? And it's just like, and if we could tap into that and just, you know, and the way to stay there is to allow all the emotions, right? Because crappy things are going to happen, let's be honest. You know, in fact, I had somebody ask me recently, well, a few somebodies, and they're like, how are you? I'm like, I'm freaking awesome. And I've been shitty, but I own it. You know, it's like, okay, like this is something not fun to deal with, but I'm going to own it and I'm going to feel it and I'm going to process it and allow it to move through my body and not stay there.
Because the power is in the emotion.
Yes.
So no matter what the emotion is, when you take the time to just feel it, even if it is that anger or sadness for a minute, it literally is what creates you to have a whole different existence or reality.
Yeah. What were you saying the other day about like your emotions are like a portal? So if you feel them and you're open to them, then that's what
you totally open up a whole new portal.
Yeah. And that's where creation is, right? And like darkness. In fact, as we walked into this studio this morning, someone was saying they were watching a YouTube about how eventually the whole universe is going to collapse, right? Like everything like fall into darkness and all the light's going to be gone. And I just laughed and it was
a good video. I liked it.
It is, and it's true. It's truth. Like it's truth. Like there's polarity, right? Like down to the atom, there's proton, neutron, electron, and like the polarity of it. And if you like highly focus on the darkness, right, you're going to be sucked in. But as soon as you go all the way down, if you're fighting it, you're going to be at this imbalance all the time. But if you're like, oh, right now I'm supposed to be over here on this side and be in the darkness, and then I can be over here and be in the light. But if you're pushing against it, that's where the resistance is. And but if you just allow it and like go into it, like that's where everything exists, right?
Like I read yesterday, a lady posted something. She says, you create more pain when you don't feel the pain.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow. Like if you just sit with the pain for a minute, then you don't just, otherwise you're just suppressing and building up so much.
Right.
But if you just feel it, then you don't keep creating more of it.
Right. And that, you know, I referenced it before, but I'll just quickly say again, that other day when I had a family member in the hospital, my whole body suddenly started hurting. Like everything in me started hurting. I'm like, why are you hurting right now, body? It's like, because I need to cry. Oh, okay. All right. I acknowledge you and I'll allow you to cry, you know, and as soon as I acknowledged all that, the pain was gone. And then I did allow myself to cry because if I didn't, then the pain would come back. But after that, then I allowed myself all that process. And it was so fast. Yeah. It was so fast. Instead of like pushing it away. I'm not going to acknowledge you. I don't want to cry, so I'm going to push you away. So then my body hurts, you know. It's all this resistance and just like flow with it and like be in that darkness for a minute. And then you can have the opposite of that. You know?
But you have to know the one to know the other.
Absolutely.
That's what I think when we totally want like the ultimate love, joy, happiness in our life, we actually have to sometimes experience the complete opposite.
Oh, for sure. But
it's not meant to be like a punishment or something bad in your life. It's meant because we're here to experience it all.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and back to my psychedelic journey, right? Like when I was pushing away the sadness and sorrow of the loss of my son, I was not able to experience the happiness and joy that exists in life. I was in that narrow window of not feeling.
Like numbness.
Yeah, totally numb to life. I'm just existing and not feeling happiness and joy because I didn't want to feel sadness and sorrow. It's like, oh, like, you know, that's how frequency works. Like it can only go as far up as it goes down, right? Like you can't.
Yeah. And all of our feelings and emotions, they all are energy too. And they all have a different vibration.
Yeah. What was that quote you were sharing?
So Nikola Tesla, he says, let's see, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in the terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah. And that's so true. That's where everything is, like frequency, vibration, energy. And it's like, he said that how many years ago? And like everyone's like, okay, you know, all right, fine. But like right now, I think as a collective, people are starting to tune into that. Like you're hearing about all this quantum sciences and things. And it's like, it's validating what he said there, right? Like everything is on a frequency level. an energetic level.
And even just kind of like we all emit a different vibration frequency in our body, depending on where are our thoughts, where are our feelings, where are our belief systems, is dependent on where we are vibrating.
Yeah. And there's a saying that's so true, and it's like you vibrate at the 3 or 5 people that you hang around with the most. And I remember years and years and years ago, I was actually like really struggling with stuff in my life, and I was seeing a counselor every week, and she's an amazing woman. And she would tell me, she was like, well, Cindy, your vibration, and I didn't get it back then, but now it's like I understand it more. Your vibration is if you're at this high energy level of vibration, and you go home or you go to work or you go wherever, and you're hanging around other people that are really negative and really low vibration, and then you either they match you, they either come up to your level and match you, or you go down to their level. There are no other options. It's not like a mid-range. Like if they're here and you're here, they either meet you here or you meet them there. And I was doing that in my life. It's like, okay, over here, I can be my energy. But then when I'm at work or when I'm at home or when I'm with this person or that person, I would have to bring my energy down because I loved them. I don't want to leave anybody behind, right? I didn't want to quit the job. I didn't want to, whatever it is.
Yeah, and you also are constantly absorbing other people's energy. Mm-hmm. So whatever they're vibrating, whatever their frequency is at, you're literally taking it on.
Yeah. Yes. And I can feel it so deeply now, especially when you're in a certain vibration and you're so in tune to it that when that different energy comes in, whether it's higher than yours or lower than yours, you feel it instantly. It's like, oh, I don't like this. I need to shift. I need to move away from this. I need to leave this space or whatever. Or, oh, I love this. I want to stay here and enjoy this energy more. You know, kind of like my daughter this morning. Mom, I just want to follow you around because your energy is exciting.
It's kind of like a sign and like a message. A lot of times too, you're like, oh man, I feel so drained or so tired. And it's like, some people's energy, they totally drain and they make us tired, or that just that minute of being in someone's energy, whether it's even a text, a phone call, or their presence, that energy like shifts our energy.
Yeah.
So
it does instantly. And to be aware of that too. And it's like, you're like, oh, I was feeling fine and suddenly I'm not. Well, why? What happened? You know, did you have a text message or an email, or did you, talk to somebody, and like, is it really your energy or is it theirs that you're picking up on? And then you can release it like that once you realize, oh, wait, that's not my energy. I don't need to carry that. A saying like I really like right now is like, I release everything that's not mine and I call back every piece of me. So like we have this exchange right now, right? And if I leave, like there's still there's a frequency between us, right? And then I go home, but we have this frequency between us, but I don't have all of me. I don't have all of my energy unless I call it back, because I might still be thinking about our podcast or thinking about a conversation we had. And then I can't really be present in what I'm doing with all of my energy. I'll only have 80% of my energy or something, So I like to remind myself in every interaction, if I can. I definitely do it twice a day, morning and night when I meditate. I like call all my energy back and release everybody else's energy back to them, like with love and appreciation for what they gave to me, right? Because you're giving me something right now and I appreciate that. But
it's a good reminder though. It's a good reminder for people, because we go throughout the whole day and we just literally are just absorbing, taking on other people's energy. And so by the time we get home, we're just like, man, I feel this and I feel that. But we don't understand where it's all coming from. Yeah. And so just, again, it is important to like release anything that's no longer serving you, any other people's energy, and just call back yourself.
Yeah, because you want to go home and be your best self for your family, right? Like you're out doing your things all day long and you're a filter and you're picking up all this stuff. And then you go home and you're exhausted and you don't have any time for the people you care about most, right? So another really good trick too is to like think every time you go through a doorway is I'm letting go of everything from my past right this minute. Like I'm letting go of my whole day as I walk into this door, and I'm calling all back to me so I can be present right now with my family. Like every time you step through a door, you can just be like, okay, I'm detaching from everything from here and I'm stepping into something new. And yeah,
that's good. And also people talk about when you shower, just allowing that water to kind of come and it just cleanses you.
Yeah.
from
And
other people.
picture it clearing your energy as well as your body as it's washing over you. Yeah. That's a great one as well. There's so many great tips and things, but just whatever is easy and that you resonate with. And Dolores Cannon says something about energy, and I actually wanted to play it. I think we've got it here lined up. Are we good to? Okay, I'm gonna play this.
Everything is energy. And you come to Earth to learn how to manipulate that, to be a master manifester. So once you learn how to manipulate energy, you can have anything you want. Nothing is impossible. There are no limitations except the limitations you put upon yourself. Everything.
Okay. So, Dolores Cannon, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of her, and maybe a lot of people haven't, but she is way ahead of her time, right? She is just very connected and brings a lot of really good messages. So, listeners out there, if you haven't heard of her, I recommend you look her up. But if you have, you know who she is. But talking about like learning how to manipulate energy, and a lot of times we hear manipulate and we think of that as a negative thing, but it's not. It's just like moving energy, And so how we were talking about like, okay, like let's move this energy. Like I needed to cry, instead of like resisting it, like that's causing more pain. I'm going to work with it and manipulate the energy.
To transmute it, basically.
To transmute it, yeah. And like she says, like we're here to learn how to do that. Like we forget everything, right? Like we're a baby and we know nothing, and we learn from our parents and our teachers and everybody around us, but we weren't really taught how to manipulate energy. And if Nikola Tesla was our dad, like maybe we would have had this figured out a long time ago, But that's really like the space that I feel like you and I are finding, and we're excited to help other people find that. Like we have some really exciting things we're working on that to help everybody get to that space of manipulating energy. Because that's where everything lies, right? All of creation. You can have anything you want once you learn how to manipulate energy,
right.
Work with it.
And even Dolores Cannon, in the end of the clip, she was talking about the reason we can't do that is because of the limitations. And so like asking ourselves sometimes, like, where am I still being controlled, or where am I still being limited, that I am not stepping into that power where I can manipulate, or I can shift and I can change. And a lot of times those limitations, we're not always aware in the conscious moment. And so I think a lot of times those limitations come from our belief systems. It comes from our programs, how we've been programmed, what we believe becomes our reality.
Right. And it becomes our resistance too, right? Like if I have a strong belief about something, I'm not open to other possibilities, and that's what's going to limit me.
Yeah, like when there's limited possibilities, we limit ourselves with those beliefs that we hold strong on that we don't let go of. We're like, oh, maybe I can be more open, or to seeing things in a different lens, seeing things in different ways as we allow ourselves to not just hold like so strong on a certain belief system. It allows us to expand. And once we start expanding, we can see how our life can change but it's okay. I mean, it's in the beginning, it's just the awareness and recognizing those places where we're holding our still, like we're bound.
A good analogy I've heard is like a ski slope, right? When there's a fresh snow, like anybody that's a skier or snowboarder, like when it's fresh powder, like it's great because you can carve your own path, right? You're just going with the flow and carving your own path, and then over time it wears down and there's grooves and some, maybe you want to go on that path and maybe you don't, but you're kind of in that path now because that's the groove that's been reinforced over and over and over. So it's like a belief system, like something that you've been taught, something that you believe over and over and over. And then suddenly like that's your only path. And like all this other snow, like you can't even tap into it because this groove is so deeply ingrained that that's a path you're taking. And so like resetting that and a new fresh snowfall. And so, oh wait, is that really the path I want? Or is this path over here more fun or more in alignment with me? Or, I'll learn something new going this way instead of down that same path every time.
Yeah, being open and getting help where your belief systems can be reprogrammed, reset, rewired, and
Yeah. And that's what we do, right? Is we help people find that where they're stuck in their path, if there's a roadblock or a groove that they're stuck in, and like help bring that to their awareness. So they're like, oh wait, is this really what I want to still believe? Is this really the path I still want to take? Or do I want to take another path?
Want something different, and kind of even looking at your patterns, the patterns in our life, a lot of times are because of our belief systems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people right now are kind of tapping into that knowledge, right? Like certain things have happened in their lives or, home life or political life or religious life. And it's like, wait a minute, like everything I thought is now changed. And so do I really believe that anymore? And, or do I believe this new thing that I'm being told because it's not what I thought this whole time, So now can I actually think for myself? And so I think that's a beautiful gift that, a lot of us have been given the last few years as things are shifting in our reality, in our 3D. It's like, oh, okay, do I still want to go down this path? Do I still want to believe this? Do I still want to follow that advice? Or do I want to listen here, tap in here, feel what's right for me, and go with that?
Right. Because eventually people start realizing like everything eventually is trying to get us to go inward.
Yes, go with it and go into those deep, dark spaces and see what's hiding in there. And then once you see it, it's like, oh, it's not all that scary. And it's actually kind of fun in here. And now, because I'm moving with it and flowing with it and going down to those depths, I can go up to the heights,
Like learning to embrace all the parts of us and not being scared of the parts that we feel are bad or dark but like embrace it. We have to actually embrace it all.
Without judgment, without anything. It's just like, this is all of me. Like I was explaining to a client yesterday, I'm like, if we go through a trauma as a child and we're trying everything to do we can to forget about that trauma or we do all this healing work, right, around this trauma. And if we're not actually embracing it, we're actually disconnecting from a piece of us. So whatever age that trauma happened to you, whether it's 2 years or 6 years or 8 years or 22 years, and you're trying to push that away because you deem it a bad experience, then you are disconnecting a piece of you. Like it was just an experience and it happened to you. And if you didn't like it and you're trying to deny it or push it away or pretend it didn't happen, you're denying you.
Right. And it's still vibrating in you. And so you're making life a lot harder by not acknowledging it and embracing that was a part of you, an experience part of you.
Yeah. And it was a lesson too. Like maybe you didn't like that experience and you don't want to repeat it. And now you know how to navigate around that, or what to not repeat, or who to not engage with because of that experience. But don't deny the experience itself because it happened, right? So it's true. So don't deny you and don't deny your experience because that's where we actually learn. And I've said this multiple times, but I had a friend one Thanksgiving go around and ask everybody what they're most grateful for. I'm like, I'm most grateful for my deepest heartaches. And I've had a lot. I've lost a son, I've lost a husband, I've lost my parents at young ages, a brother. Like, I've had a lot of heartache. And to be able, and I say that authentically, like I am most grateful for my deepest heartaches because that's where I've learned more. I've learned how to love me. I've learned just so much through that pain, and I wouldn't take it away for anything.
Because that's where all the growth happens. And like we actually created and chose to go through those things to help us to get to where we wanted to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it goes back to like, I wouldn't know pure love if I didn't know pure grief and loss and heartache. And so I am grateful for all those experiences. So now I can experience the opposite of that.
Right.
Yeah. That was it's been a pretty deep podcast right here. But going back to the whole everything's energy and frequency and vibration and light and sound and getting all those to go in harmony, right, with each other instead of fighting them against each other. That's where the static and the noise comes in our life.
Chaos.
And so you and I have been working on and tapping into some really fun stuff that way. And I can't wait till we're able to share that. It's coming very soon.
Yes,
but
it's so exciting.
it's like an instant reset for people, like to give that new snowfall, right? And so then they're like, oh, wait, now what path do I want to take, and feel that excitement, energy that we've been feeling for consistently now. It's not a roller coaster anymore. It's like this consistent level of energy. Like we've put that new snowfall down, You know how the energy feels when a new snow falls anyway, even if you're not a skier, right? It just is so peaceful and calm and blissful.
Just where it can shift things so quickly.
Yes, absolutely. So excited.
Thank you for joining us on this path of self-discovery and soul connection. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. For more inspiration and resources, join our Facebook group, Igniting Soul Connection. Also, visit us at findingthefire.com or follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Finding the Fire. Until next time, keep the fire alive. This has been a production from a podcast studio.